Hey, what's going on, boys and ghouls? I'm Chain Smoking Mike. I figured on dressing nice today because later today I'm going to watch my first ever video in Russian at a cinema. So I figured on dressing nice to make the occasion more memorable. Anyway, to celebrate this, I'm going to smoke another really interesting cigar. This was recommended by the Cigar Lounge. They said, you got to try this. So I was like, all right. So I bought the Caldwell Blind Man's Bluff Maduro cigar. And I like the little catchphrase. It says, "We own the night." I like that. Anyway, here's what the cigar looks like. It's a Magnum size cigar. I don't really smell any specific aromas before I smoke it. There is a very, very subtle amount of like hay, but that's really all I can smell. Anyway, let's smoke. Alright, I think that's enough oomph. Actually needs a little more oomph. Ooh, that's very interesting. It has like a very silky, almost creamy-like texture on the smoke itself. And the Maduro strength, it's not like an aggressive amount of strength. However, I am getting a bit of a tongue bite from this particular cigar. It's smooth, but it has like a bit of like a cayenne pepper kind of aftertaste. It has a bit of a kick. I did not expect that at all. I'm gonna try to wash it down with some coffee. The cats are being crazy. Overall, the first small little section, it basically has like a very strong amount of like a smooth, creamy coffee. Then again, it might be the coffee that I'm drinking affecting my palate. Overall, it's pretty much a rich, creamy, slightly oily cigar. Has a it has a very subtle amount of woodiness, but it's not an aggressive amount of woodiness. On the retrohale, there's a bit of like a cayenne pepper spice, so make sure you have something to drink so your throat doesn't dry out, right? Smells amazing. Ooh, I'm getting a really a good amount of oily, woody tones on the aftertaste. The coffee is helping me want to smoke and to wash down the aggressive aftertaste notes on this particular cigar. Overall, this is a pretty unique cigar for Maduro. I thought it would be a much more aggressive and a little harsher, but no, it's actually pretty creamy and has a good amount of oily, woody notes. If I was to rate the Blind Man's Bluff by Caldwell Maduro, I would give it a 4 out of 5. Overall, it's a pretty unique style Maduro. I did not expect it to be of this particular profile. It's very interesting and quite unique. Because with most Maduros, you would expect them to be a little bit more harsher and have a lot more nicotine intensity. This does have a bit of intensity to it, don't get me wrong, but it's mainly on the retrohale. You're going to get a lot of oily and peppery kind of aftertaste on your throat. Therefore, make sure you have something to drink with it. Since it's morning, I'm having coffee. However, if I had the cigar in the evening, or maybe even midday, I'd usually pair it with some kind of imperial stout beer. Or if I really wanted to be styling and profiling, I would go for a nice shot of whiskey or Jägermeister. Jägermeister's my baby. Of all the whiskeys I've tried when I was in the United States, I remembered I was in the cigar lounge smoking like a Padron, right? It was the last day I was there. And one of the guys that was there had a bottle of Blanton's whiskey. He said, "Since you're leaving, have a shot." I was like, "You sure?" He was like, "I insist." So I was like, "All right." So I tried the Blanton's whiskey, and it was pretty damn good. From my recollection, it was very oaky, had a bit of like a subtle amount of cherry, and what really caught me off guard was there was a subtle amount of like clove and anise, similar to Jägermeister, but it wasn't like as strong as Jägermeister, if you in terms of that flavor profile. But it was some good ass whiskey. A shame that I couldn't buy a bottle, because a bottle of Blanton's are pretty expensive. But But that was probably one of my favorite whiskeys that I've had. But honestly, I'm not a whiskey drinker. It's slightly canoeing. It's kind of burning at an angle, but the burn seems to be consistent. Trying to pace myself. I like to smoke my cigars very fast, but I've been learning how to better pace myself with my cigars, because cigars in Russia, you can get them, but they tend to be pretty expensive compared to the United States. Like, you can get about 10 cigars in the United States easily. However, if the same amount of money in Russia, you'd be lucky to get 5 or 6 cigars with that kind of money. You see where I'm coming from? Cigars over here are treated more as a treat, whereas in America, it's treated as an alternative form of smoking. Therefore, in this beautiful country that I now call home, I very periodically smoke cigars. Very periodically. Maybe like one cigar every like 2 to 3 weeks. You see? Whereas in America, when I used to frequent the Hill Cigar Lounge down in St. Louis, I would easily smoke like 2 to 3 cigars a day. But over here, only like a cigar once every 2 to 3 weeks. But I think this will be subject to change once I become a citizen and actually start working independently. You bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be smoking like a chimney by then. I like my cigars. And I really do like a Cuban here and there too. Especially when I look presentable in a nice suit, it complements it quite well. So there's that. The cigar is becoming a little less aggressive. As you progress, you taste more of like a smooth, earthy, woody, almost like a smooth latte kind of consistency on the draw. The pepperiness has subsided, but it's still there. There's also a bit of oiliness, which is to be expected with most heavy, dark-colored cigars, but what can you do? Anyway, I plan to smoke the rest of this on my leisure. I feel like I've covered pretty much the gist of the Caldwell Maduro by Blind Man's Bluff. Stay tuned for more videos whenever I'm in a good mood, or whenever I have money to burn, pun intended. Anyway, take care. I'm Chain Smoking Mike signing off. And rock and roll. Thank you for watching. And take care.